I knew right from the start that I might be seen as the one in the wrong here, and I get that. But let me clarify the whole situation. I genuinely love my husband. I understand that some may doubt it due to my actions, but I truly do. What happened was a mistake. My husband is 37, and I am 31. We've been married for 5 years, and we were in a relationship for 7 years before that. We've been trying to have a family for 2 years, and during that time, I experienced 2 miscarriages. One of them led me to reduce my working hours due to depression. Since my husband was the main breadwinner, I decided to work part-time. We visited the doctor multiple times, and they found nothing wrong with either of us, advising us to keep trying. Instead of trying more, my husband became frustrated and lost interest in initiating intimacy due to his frustration. Our sex life declined rather than improving, which started causing strain in our marriage. He refused to go to marriage counseling, and his way of dealing with conflicts is to ignore them and hope they'll disappear, but that doesn't work. He doesn't like discussing issues, and I tried to encourage him to attend marriage counseling so we could talk things over, but he believes it's a waste of money. Over time, I grew close to a mutual friend who had recently separated from his wife. He's in his late 30s and older than me, so I thought I could confide in him about my marriage issues. We became too comfortable with each other, to the point where he would come over to my house when my husband wasn't home. One day, when I was at his place, he made a move, and I gave in, leading to an affair. During my affair, I had the feeling that my husband suspected something, and I wanted to end it. However, my affair partner kept drawing me back, mainly because I needed emotional attention that my husband wasn't providing. It felt like having a physical relationship with my affair partner was a way to repay him for the emotional support he provided during a tough period in my marriage. My husband had always been financially successful because of hard work. He came from nothing and made a good living out of sheer hard work. He owned 8 rental properties outright that he managed on his own, in addition to another business alongside his regular job, which kept him very busy. This made it easy for him to become absorbed in his work and not pay much attention to things at home. At one point, we decided we needed to find another way to have a baby because our relationship was struggling due to this issue. Then I chose to end my affair with the mutual friend. However, I had an argument with my husband, and that made me restart the affair. One day, when my husband was at work, I invited my affair partner to our home. Unexpectedly, my husband came home for lunch and caught us. He must have been getting suspicious because he had never done that before. We weren't doing anything inappropriate, but we were in bed together, and he understood what was happening. I acknowledged that my actions were wrong, and I'm aware of the pain I caused my husband. I'm deeply sorry for it, and I know there's nothing that can make up for it. He left the house and didn't return until very late. I tried to call him, but he didn't answer. The next morning, I noticed that his side of the bed had been slept in, but he had already left before I woke up. I found him in the kitchen and began to apologize, but he didn't accept it. Instead, he asked me about how long I had been involved with our mutual friend and wanted to know all the details about when and how it started. Once he had enough information, he said that was sufficient and left. I'm not sure where he spent that day, but he came back at night. After that, I completely stopped seeing the affair partner. Afterward, he never brought up the affair again. He began behaving like many people do after an argument, not showing love, friendliness, anger, or passion, but instead being distant and cold. He only spoke to me when it was required. On our anniversary, I thought he might be waiting for that day to be over to discuss a divorce. I even started reaching out to lawyers. However, the anniversary came and went. He took me out to an awkward dinner, and that was the end of it. 7 months after he found me in bed with a mutual friend, he didn't bring it up again. Sometimes I try to discuss it because I want to address the issue and find closure, but he always stops me and becomes moody for the rest of the day. He didn't act the way he used to around me, but he remained polite and occasionally even friendly. We've stopped being intimate, and he only kisses me when he leaves for work. I wasn't sure what to do and was uncertain about what was happening. I didn't think he wanted to end our relationship, but I became increasingly uncomfortable. I knew what I did was wrong, and I would understand if he wanted a divorce. What I find puzzling is his indifference to everything. I'm not sure if he still loves me. He never talked about our efforts to have children as if he had given up on it, and I was scared to bring it up. I realized that what I did was terrible, and I don't want to lose him. I will never make that kind of mistake again. However, when I attempt to discuss what happened, apologize, or somehow ease the awkwardness between us, he refuses to listen and walks away. I didn't know how to handle it anymore. I was unsure about what to make of the situation. Then one day, I got a call from a woman I didn't know. She said she had been in a relationship with my husband for 7 months and that she was 7 months pregnant. She claimed that my husband had told her everything about my affair and that they had been in a serious relationship since then. I was devastated and didn't want to believe her, but everything she told me checked out. When my husband came home, I confronted him about it. At that moment, all the anger he had been holding in for over 7 months burst out. I responded to him about why he didn't choose to divorce me instead of having an affair on the side. He claimed he didn't have the courage to tell me, but later I found out that was a lie. Even after all of this, I still blamed myself for his affair because I believed I was the reason he started it. I asked him to make a choice between me and the other woman. He hesitated, saying it would be difficult because she was carrying his baby. I clarified that I wasn't talking about the baby but about her. Finally, he gave me reassurance by saying he chose me. At that time, things didn't seem right, and I didn't trust him. So, I decided to hire a private investigator to learn more about the other woman. I discovered that she was 11 years younger than me and a nursing student. Her college was close to his workplace, which is likely how they met. My private investigator took pictures of them having lunch during his breaks and attending most of her doctor's appointments. He treated her the way he used to treat me during the good times in our relationship. Seeing those pictures convinced me that our marriage was over, and there was no reason to continue. Even though I was willing to give our marriage another chance, we were more like roommates than anything else. I decided to hire a lawyer, only to discover that my husband had hired one 7 months before me. This immediately worried me because I didn't know what he was planning and why he hadn't filed for divorce yet. It became clear to me that he had lost affection for me after he found me in bed with a mutual friend. During discussions with my lawyer while we were trying to determine what assets my husband owned, we found out that he had collateralized all of his assets except for one, our current house, and our personal vehicles. The lawyer suggested that my husband is hiding his assets, which could be the reason he hadn't filed for divorce yet. I felt betrayed that he seemed to be more focused on money than our relationship. It made me feel like he hadn't been fully committed to our relationship from the beginning and had checked out since the affair. I quickly gave him the divorce papers. After serving him with the divorce papers, he attacked me, using hurtful words. I insisted that he leave the house because I didn't trust him, but he refused. An argument broke out, and I decided to call the police. When the police arrived, I explained that I wanted him out of the house because he had assaulted me. However, the police didn't find any evidence of assault from their perspective. We began sleeping in separate bedrooms. During the divorce proceedings, we were still living in the same house. He successfully hid all 8 properties, 6 of which were acquired during our marriage. He did this by collaterally using our house 6 months ago for a fake loan payment, making it appear as if it was owned by a lender. Fortunately, the only settlement I managed to secure was half of his 401k settlement. He refused to give me our current home, despite hiding the rental properties. Eventually, we sold the home, and I received half of the proceeds. He even contested this in court and made every step of the process difficult. His true colors showed as he was determined to protect his assets in the divorce settlement. While I blame myself for the marriage ending, I also feel that his primary focus was on money and safeguarding his wealth and not my emotional well-being, which was truly the reason I cheated in the first place.